Hello everyone. Tonight we begin with a whisper from a world long gone, a place where shadows flicker on lacquered walls, and the air hums with secrets you're not supposed to hear. Imagine this. You're kneeling on a cold stone floor, the kind that bites through your thin silk robes, and above you, a golden throne looms like a sleeping dragon. Your heart's pounding, not from fear, not yet, but from the weight of eyes you can't see. Somewhere in the dark, someone's watching. And you, my friend, are a royal eunuch in ancient China, caught in a life that's equal parts privilege and prison. Where are you watching from? What time is it where you are? Drop a comment. I'm dying to know who's curled up in their blanket with me tonight. The palace smells of sandalwood and sweat, a cloying mix that sticks to your skin like damp silk. You shift your weight, trying to ease the ache in your knees, but the floor's relentless. It's been hours since you were summoned to the Hall of Eternal Harmony, a name that feels like a cruel joke. Harmony? Not here, not now. The Emperor's voice, sharp as a jade blade, echoes from the throne, but you barely hear the words. You're too focused on the tray in your hands, a lacquered slab heavy with scrolls, each one sealed with red wax that smells faintly of bees and blood. Your job is simple. Carry the tray, bow, and vanish. But nothing's ever simple in the Forbidden City. Not when every step could be your last. You glance sideways, careful not to lift your head. The other eunuchs stand in a silent line, their faces blank as polished stone. You've learned to read them, though, the twitch of a lip, the flicker of an eyelid. They're as trapped as you are, bound by vows and scars that mark you as the Emperor's own. Your body still remembers the knife, the pain that stole your breath and left you hollow. It was years ago, but the memory lingers like a bruise, tender and sharp. You were told it was an honor, a sacrifice for the Empire's glory. But honor doesn't warm you at night, and glory doesn't stop the whispers that follow you through these endless halls. The Emperor's voice cuts off, and the silence is worse. You feel it, a prickle on your neck, like a breath from someone standing too close. You don't dare turn, but you know who it is. Old Wei, the head eunuch, is somewhere behind you. Nobody knows his real name, or how old he is, or how he survived 3 emperors, when most don't last a decade. His eyes are like clouded jade, seeing everything and nothing, and his voice is a rasp that makes your skin crawl. They say he was there when the last dynasty fell, that he walked through fire and came out unscathed. You don't believe the stories, not really, but when he's near, the air feels heavier, like it's holding its breath. You tighten your grip on the tray, the wood slick under your palms. The scrolls are decrees, you think, orders for executions, maybe, or taxes to crush some distant province. You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to think. But you can't help it. Last week, you saw a boy barely 16, dragged from the palace for disloyalty. His screams still echo in your dreams, high and brittle, like porcelain shattering. You wonder what he did. Spoke out turn? Looked at the wrong concubine? Or was it nothing at all, just a name on a list? You could ask, but asking is dangerous. Silence is safer, isn't it? The Emperor rises, his robes rustling like dry leaves. You bow lower, your forehead brushing the floor, and the tray wobbles. A scroll slips just an inch, and your breath catches. If it falls, you're done. A clumsy eunuch is a dead eunuch. You steady your hands, muscles screaming, and thank whatever gods might listen that the Emperor's already turning away. His footsteps fade, and the court dissolves into murmurs, nobles and officials gliding out like ghosts. You're left with the other eunuchs, the tray, and the weight of Old Wei's gaze. He steps closer now, his slippers whispering on the stone. You smell him before you see him, camphor and something sour, like old wine. Careful, little one, he says, his voice low enough to make your bones hum. The palace eats the careless. You nod, eyes fixed on the floor, but your mind races. Is he warning you? Threatening you? Or is this just another game? The kind he plays to keep you all on edge? You've seen him do it before, whisper to one eunuch, smile at another, and by morning, someone's gone. Vanished, like they never existed. You want to ask what he means, but your tongue feels heavy, glued to the roof of your mouth. Old Way lingers, and you notice something glinting at his waist, a jade pendant, carved into the shape of a coiled dragon. It's not like the others you've seen, the ones nobles flaunt like trophies. This one's older, worn smooth in places, and the dragon's eyes seem to glow, even in the dim light. You've heard stories about such things, talismans blessed by shamans or cursed by forgotten gods. They say the dragon binds its wearer to the empire, body and soul, but at a cost. You wonder what Old Way's paid, or what he's still paying. The thought makes your stomach twist, a cold knot of fear and fascination. He moves past you, and the air shifts, lighter but not cleaner. You're alone now, or as alone as you can be in a palace crawling with eyes. The tray's still in your hands, heavier than before, and your arms tremble. You need to deliver it to the Hall of Records, but the corridors stretch like a labyrinth, each turn hiding a new danger. A drunken noble might strike you for sport. A concubine might accuse you of theft just to see you squirm. Or worse, you might meet Old Way again, and this time, he might not let you go. You start walking, the scrolls rattling softly. The palace is a living thing, you think, all creaks and sighs, like it's watching you stumble through its veins. Torches flicker, casting shadows that twist into shapes, dragons, demons, or maybe just your own fear. You pass a shrine, a small alcove with a bronze statue of the Yellow Emperor, his face serene but stern. You pause, tempted to pray, but what would you ask for? Freedom? You can't even imagine it anymore. Safety? That's a lie. Maybe just a night without dreams of knives and screams. You keep moving, but the question gnaws at you. Stay silent, keep your head down, and you might survive another day. Speak up, ask about the boy, the scrolls, Old Way's pendant, and you're gambling with your life. The palace doesn't forgive curiosity. But ignorance isn't salvation either. You think of your old life, before the knife, fields, laughter, a mother's voice. It's faint now, like a song you can't quite recall. If you stay, this is your world. Trays, bows, and the constant hum of fear. If you run, you're a traitor, hunted until your blood stains the earth. What's worse, living as a shadow or dying as a man? The corridor narrows, and you hear it, a faint chant, like wind through reeds. It's coming from a side chamber, one you've never noticed before. The door's ajar, and against every instinct, you lean closer. Inside, a figure kneels before a low altar, their back to you. It's not Old Way, but the air feels the same, thick with something you can't name. The chant grows louder, words you don't understand, and the figure raises a hand, holding something that glints like jade. Your heart lurches. You should leave, deliver the tray, forget this. But your feet don't move. You're caught like a moth in a web, and the palace hums around you, waiting for your choice. The air in the side chamber is thick, like breathing through wet silk, and the chant hums in your bones, low and relentless. You're still clutching the tray of scrolls, its weight a cruel anchor keeping you from bolting down the corridor. The figure at the altar hasn't moved, their hand suspended, clutching that glinting jade object. It's not a pendant like old ways, but something sharper, angular, a ritual dagger, maybe, or a talisman carved with symbols you can't read. The torchlight flickers, and the blade seems to pulse, as if it's drinking the shadows. You want to leave, to deliver the tray, and sink back into the palace's numbing routine. But your body betrays you, rooted to the spot like a tree grown from fear. The chanting stops, abrupt as a snapped thread, and the figure turns. It's a woman, her face half hidden by a veil of black gauze, but her eyes cut through the dimness, bright, unblinking, like a hawk's. You don't know her, but you've heard whispers of someone like this. Lady Sparrow, they call her, though no one knows if that's her name or a title. She's no concubine, no noble, but she moves through the palace like a ghost, appearing where she shouldn't, vanishing before questions can form. Some say she's a shaman, others a spy. One eunuch swore she cursed a general who died choking on his own tongue. You didn't believe it then, but now, with her gaze pinning you like a moth to a board, belief feels less optional. You shouldn't be here, she says, her voice soft but sharp, like a blade wrapped in silk. You open your mouth to apologize, to explain the tray, the scrolls, but your words crumble into a dry rasp. She steps closer, her robes rustling, black, embroidered with silver threads that catch the light like stars. The altar behind her is cluttered, a bronze bowl of ash, a stack of bamboo slips, and a small statue of a fox, its eyes inlaid with red stones that seem to follow you. Foxes are sacred, messengers of the gods or tricksters, depending on who's telling the story. This one feels like both, its gaze heavy with secrets you're not meant to know. You shift the tray, and a scroll rattles, loud in the silence. Lady Sparrow's eyes flick to it, then back to you. What do you carry? She asks, and it's not a question you can dodge. Your heart hammers, a frantic beat against your ribs. The scrolls are sealed, their contents a mystery, but you've heard enough to guess. Names, dates, orders that could topple lives. If you answer, you're betraying your duty. If you don't, you're defying her, and something in her stillness tells you that's worse. You think of old ways warning, the palace eating the careless, but this feels different, like stepping into a trap you didn't see being set. I don't know, you manage, your voice barely a whisper. It's the truth, but it sounds like a lie even to you. Lady Sparrow tilts her head and the veil shifts, revealing a scar on her cheek, thin and jagged, like a crack in porcelain. Ignorance is a choice, she says, and the words land like a slap. You carry death in your hands, and you don't even look. She gestures to the tray, and for a moment you swear the wax seals glow, red as fresh blood. Your arms ache, but you can't look away from her, from the fox statue, from the dagger now resting on the altar, its edge catching the light like a hungry smile. You want to ask what she means, but the air feels wrong, heavy with the scent of ash and something sweeter, like overripe fruit. The palace is never quiet, not really. There's always the creak of wood, the murmur of distant voices. But here, it's as if the world has paused, waiting for your next move. You think of the boy from last week, his screams, his name erased. Was his death on a scroll like these? Did someone like you carry it, head down, asking no questions? The thought twists in your gut, sharp as the knife that made you what you are. You could demand answers, force Lady Sparrow to explain, but what then? Knowledge is a blade, and you're not sure you can wield it without cutting yourself. She steps closer, close enough that you smell her. Jasmine and smoke, a mix that makes your head swim. There's a story, she says, her voice dropping to a murmur, about a fox who stole a man's shadow. He lived, but he was never whole again, always searching for what he'd lost. She glances at the statue, and you follow her gaze. The fox's red eyes seem brighter now, almost alive. Do you know what it's like to lose your shadow? She asks. And you don't know if she's talking about the story or you, standing here with a tray of secrets and a life that's no longer yours. Your mouth is dry, your throat tight. You want to say you don't know that you're just a eunuch, a cog in the palace's grinding machine, but the words won't come. You think of your old life before the knife, running through fields, the sun warm on your face, a future you could almost taste. That boy is gone, his shadow carved away with a blade and a promise of duty. Lady Sparrow's right, you're carrying death, and you've chosen not to look. But looking means seeing, and seeing means choosing. Stay loyal to the emperor, to the palace that owns you, or risk everything for a truth that might destroy you. The fox statue watches, its eyes unblinking. You've heard of fox spirits, how they slip into human form, how they tempt and betray. The altar feels like a warning, or maybe an invitation. Lady Sparrow picks up the dagger, turning it in her hands, and the blade sings softly, a high, eerie note that makes your teeth ache. The emperor dreams of immortality, she says, almost to herself. But every dream has a price, and someone always pays. Her eyes meet yours again, and you see something there, pity, maybe, or amusement. Will it be you? You want to run, but the tray keeps you tethered, its weight a reminder of your place. The scrolls are heavy with more than paper. They carry lives, fates, entire villages balanced on a wax seal. You could set the tray down, demand she open one, read the truth aloud. But what if it names someone you know? What if it's a death you can't stop? Or worse, what if it's nothing, just taxes, grain quotas, the mundane cruelty of empire? Would knowing make you braver, or just break you faster? The palace doesn't care about your courage. It cares about obedience, and you've been obedient for so long. It's carved into your bones. Lady Sparrow sets the dagger back on the altar, and the air shifts, lighter but colder. Go, she says, turning back to the fox statue. Deliver your burden. But remember, the fox sees everything. You nod, though she's not looking, and stumble back into the corridor, the tray trembling in your hands. The chant doesn't resume, but the silence is worse, pressing against your ears like water. You walk, faster now, the scrolls rattling, the torchlight throwing your shadow ahead of you. It looks wrong, too thin, too sharp, like it's not entirely yours. The corridor twists, leading you deeper into the palace's heart. You pass a courtyard where lanterns sway, their red glow bleeding into the night. Somewhere a lute plays, its notes fragile and fleeting. You think of Lady Sparrow's words, the fox's eyes, the dagger's song. You think of your shadow, and what it means to lose it. The hall of records is close, but each step feels heavier, like you're dragging the weight of every choice you didn't make. Stay silent, deliver the scrolls, and you're safe until the next tray, the next order, the next scream in the night. Speak, question, resist, and you're gambling with a life that's already half gone. The fox is watching, and the palace is waiting, and you're not sure which is hungrier. The corridor stretches before you, a tunnel of flickering torchlight and damp stone, and the tray of scrolls feels heavier with every step, like it's grown roots into your arms. The lute's fragile notes have faded, swallowed by the palace's endless hum, creaking beams, distant footsteps, the faint clink of porcelain from some unseen banquet. Your shadow dances on the wall, sharp and jagged, and you can't shake the feeling that it's watching you, trailing just a heartbeat behind. Lady Sparrow's words cling to your mind, her voice weaving through your thoughts like smoke. The fox sees everything. You quicken your pace, the scrolls rattling, desperate to reach the Hall of Records and be done with this night. But the palace has other plans. A gust of air, sharp with the scent of rain and iron, brushes your face as you round a corner. The corridor opens into a narrow courtyard, one you don't recognize. It's small, almost claustrophobic, hemmed in by walls of black lacquered with that gleam like wet ink. In the center stands a stone pillar, waist-high, carved with spiraling clouds and a single staring eye. The eye is inlaid with obsidian, polished to a mirror sheen, and it seems to follow you as you hesitate at the courtyard's edge. You've heard of these pillars, spirit wards, meant to guard against restless ghosts or malevolent spirits. But this one feels alive, its gaze heavy, like a hand pressing on your chest. You want to turn back, find another route, but the corridor behind you is dark, the torches inexplicably snuffed out. You step into the courtyard, the gravel crunching under your slippers, each sound loud as a shout. The air is cooler here, damp from a storm you didn't know was coming, and the sky above is a bruise of clouds, lit faintly by a hidden moon. The tray trembles in your hands, and you tighten your grip, the wax seals glinting red in the dimness. You're almost across the courtyard when you hear it, a low rhythmic tapping, like fingers drumming on wood. It's coming from the shadows near the pillar, where the wall curves into darkness. Your heart lurches, and you freeze, straining to see. The tapping stops, then starts again, deliberate, patient, like someone or something wants you to notice. A figure steps into the moonlight, and your breath catches. It's a man, or at least he looks like one, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat woven from straw, the kind farmers wear in distant provinces. His robes are plain, coarse linen stained with travel dust, but he moves with a grace that doesn't match his ragged appearance. You don't know him, but there's something about him. Maybe the way he tilts his head, or the way his hands, gloved in black silk, hover near his waist. That makes your skin prickle. They call him the Wanderer. You think, a name whispered among the eunuchs late at night. No one knows where he comes from or why he's allowed in the palace. Some say he's a monk, others a sorcerer. One swore he saw the Wanderer walk through a wall, but you laughed it off. Now you're not so sure. He stops a few paces away, the pillar between you and the tapping resumes, his gloved fingers brushing the stone, tracing the carved clouds. Lost are we, he says, his voice low, almost amused, with an accent you can't place, like wind over a frozen lake. You shake your head, clutching the tray tighter, but your voice sticks in your throat. The obsidian eye on the pillar gleams, and you swear it blinks, just once. The Wanderer chuckles, a sound that makes the air feel colder. No one finds this place by accident, he says, stepping closer. The palace brings you where it wants you to be. You want to argue, to say you're just delivering scrolls, doing your duty, but the words feel hollow before they even form. The courtyard feels smaller now, the walls pressing in, and the pillars seems to bore into you, seeing things you've buried deep. Your fear, your shame, the boy you were before the knife. The Wanderer tilts his hat back, just enough to reveal his face, and you stifle a gasp. His eyes are mismatched, one dark as ink, the other pale as frost, and his smile is too wide, too knowing, like he's read every thought you've ever had. "What's in your hands?" he asks, nodding at the tray. Truth? Lies? Or just someone else's blood? Your mouth is dry, your tongue heavy. The scrolls are sealed, their contents forbidden. But his question cuts deeper than Lady Sparrow's. She accused you of ignorance. He's asking you to admit it. You think of the boy dragged away, his screams echoing in the dark. You think of the scrolls, their wax seals like wounds. What if they're orders for more deaths? What if they're meaningless, just bureaucratic cruelty, like the reports you'd file in some modern office, numb to their weight? The wanderer's pale eye seems to glow, and you wonder if he knows, if he's seen the names, the lives, the futures snuffed out by a brushstroke. I'm just a messenger, you say finally, your voice barely audible. It's a coward's answer, and you know it. The wanderer's smile fades, and he leans against the pillar, his gloved hand resting on the obsidian eye. A messenger, he repeats, the word dripping with something. Pity, maybe, or disgust. Do you know what this is? He taps the pillar, and the stone hums, a low vibration you feel in your teeth. A ward against truth as much as spirits. It sees what you hide, even from yourself. He pauses, his mismatched eyes locking onto yours. What are you hiding, little messenger? The question hits like a blow, and you stagger back, the tray wobbling. You're hiding nothing, you want to scream. You're a eunuch, a tool, a shadow with no will of your own. But that's not true, is it? You're hiding your anger, your grief, the part of you that still dreams of running, of fighting, of being whole again. You're hiding the question that's burned in you since the knife. Why me? The pillars I watches unblinking, and you feel exposed like your skin's been peeled back. The wanderer steps closer, his shadow falling over you, and it smells of earth and ash, like a grave freshly dug. There's a story, he says, his voice soft now, almost gentle. A man carried a message across a kingdom, never reading it. When he died, the gods asked him why. He said he was only doing his duty. They laughed and cast him into the void, because duty without truth is just a chain. He gestures at the tray. Your chain is heavy tonight. You want to drop the tray, to smash the scrolls, to demand what he knows. But fear holds you fast. The palace is a maze of eyes and blades, and defiance is a death sentence. But so is blindness, isn't it? You've seen what happens to those who obey without question. Erased, forgotten. Their screams fading into the stone. The wanderer reaches into his robe and pulls out a small object, a bronze coin, etched with a cloud pattern that matches the pillar's carvings. He flips it, and it spins in the air, catching the moonlight before landing in his palm. Heads, you walk away, he says. Tails, you open a scroll. Your heart stops. He's offering you a choice, or maybe a trap. If you open a scroll, you're breaking every vow you've sworn. If you don't, you're choosing the chain, the void, the life of a shadow. The pillar hums louder now, and the obsidian eye seems to pulse like a heartbeat. You think of the modern world, where you'd scroll through feeds, ignoring the news, the wars, the suffering, because it's easier. Is this any different? He holds the coin out, waiting. Your hands shake, the tray a burning weight. Open a scroll, and you might see a name, a village, a truth you can't unsee. Walk away, and you're safe, but only until the next order, the next scream. The wanderer's eyes, one dark, one pale, seem to see through you, and the coin glints, a small, cruel god, deciding your fate. You could take it, flip it, let chance choose for you. Or you could refuse, deliver the tray, and let the palace grind you down, day by day, until there's nothing left. The pillar watches, the courtyard holds its breath, and the tapping starts again, slow and steady, like the ticking of a clock you can't escape. The bronze coin glints in the wanderer's gloved palm, its etched clouds catching the moonlight like a promise or a threat. Your hands tremble, the tray of scrolls burning against your chest, and the obsidian eye on the pillar seems to pulse, urging you to choose. The courtyard is a trap, the air thick with the scent of wet stone and something sharper, like rusted metal. The tapping has stopped, but the silence is louder, pressing against your ears until your head aches. You want to take the coin, to flip it and let fate decide, but your fingers won't move. The wanderer's mismatched eyes, one dark, one pale, hold you like chains, and you feel the palace breathing around you, its walls closing in, waiting for you to break. You shake your head, a small, desperate motion, and step back. "I can't," you whisper, the words scraping your throat. The wanderer's smile returns thin and sharp, and he slips the coin back into his robe without a word. The pillar's hum fades, and the courtyard feels suddenly larger, the walls retreating as if satisfied with your cowardice. You turn, clutching the tray, and stumble toward the far corridor, the gravel crunching under your slippers. The obsidian eye watches you go, its gaze a weight on your back, and you swear you hear a low laugh, not the wanderer's, but something older, woven into the palace's stones. The corridor is colder than before, the torches burning low, their flames spitting shadows that twist into claws and faces. Your breath comes in shallow gasps, and the scrolls rattle, their wax seals glinting like accusing eyes. You're close to the Hall of Records now, you think, but the palace is a maze, and every turn feels wrong, like you're circling back to places you've never been. The air smells of ink and mildew, and the faint clatter of bamboo blinds echoes from somewhere above, like bones knocking together. You want to stop to rest, to forget the wanderer's coin and Lady Sparrow's fox, but the tray keeps you moving, a cruel master you can't disobey. A door looms ahead, heavy wood banded with iron, its surface carved with lotus flowers that seem to writhe in the torchlight. You've never seen it before, but it's the only way forward, and hesitation feels like surrender. You shift the tray to one arm, your muscles screaming, and push. The door groans, releasing a gust of air that smells of dust and something sweeter, like rotting peaches. Beyond is a chamber vast and dim, its ceiling lost in shadows. The floor is tiled in black and white, a chessboard pattern that makes your head spin, and at the far end, a low platform holds a single object, a bronze mirror, its surface clouded with age, framed by coiling serpents. You step inside, and the door slams shut behind you, the sound a thunderclap in the silence. Your heart lurches, and you spin, but there's no handle, no latch, just smooth wood, cold under your fingers. The tray wobbles, and you steady it, cursing under your breath. The chamber feels alive, the air humming with a faint, electric charge, like a storm trapped in a bottle. You turn back to the mirror, and it draws you, its serpents seeming to slither in the dim light. You've heard of mirrors like this, relics from forgotten reigns, said to show truths no one wants to see, or to steal souls, depending on the teller. You don't believe in souls anymore, not after the knife, but the mirror's pull is undeniable, like a hand on your spine. Footsteps echo, soft but deliberate, and you freeze. They're coming from the shadows to your left, where the tiles disappear into darkness. A figure emerges, small and hunched, their face hidden by a hood of gray cloth. It's not the wanderer, not Lady Sparrow, but the air shifts, heavy with the same wrongness you felt in the courtyard. The figure stops, their hands clasped, and you see their fingers, gnarled, stained with ink, like they've been writing for centuries. "You're late," they say, their voice a dry hiss, like leaves skittering over stone. You don't know them, but you've heard of someone like this. The keeper, they call her, a scribe who serves no emperor, only the palace itself. Some say she's immortal, others that she's a ghost. Either way, she's here, and she's watching you. I'm delivering scrolls, you say, lifting the tray slightly, as if it explains everything. The keeper tilts her head and the hood shifts, revealing a glimpse of her face, just enough to see a single eye, milky white, blind yet piercing. Scrolls, she repeats, the word dripping with disdain. You carry words, but do you know their weight? She steps closer, her robes dragging on the tiles, and the mirror behind her seems to shimmer, its surface rippling like water. You want to look away, but her eye holds you, and the chamber feels smaller, the walls leaning in, the serpents on the mirror hissing softly. Or maybe that's just your fear. She gestures to the mirror, her ink-stained fingers trembling. Look, she says, and it's not a request. Your feet move before you can stop them, carrying you toward the platform. The tray is a burning weight, but you can't set it down, not with her watching, not with the mirror waiting. You stop a pace away, close enough to see the bronze serpent scales, each one etched with tiny, unreadable characters. The mirror's surface is fogged, but shapes move within it, blurred, shifting, like figures in a dream. You lean closer, and the air grows colder, the sweet rot scent stronger, clogging your throat. Your reflection is there, but it's wrong. Your face is thinner, your eyes hollow, and your robes are tattered, stained with something dark, blood, maybe, or ink. Behind you, the chamber is empty, no keeper, no tray, just shadows that pulse like a heartbeat. You blink, and the reflection changes. Now it's you as a boy, before the knife, laughing in a field, the sun warm on your skin. Your chest aches, a sharp, sudden pain, and you want to reach out, to touch that boy, to warn him. But the mirror shifts again, and now it's not you at all. It's the boy from last week, the one who screamed, his face bruised, his eyes pleading. You stagger back, the tray rattling, and the keeper's voice cuts through the haze. What do you see? You can't answer, not with your throat tight and your heart pounding. The mirror is a liar, or maybe a judge, showing you things you've buried, your past, your guilt, the lives tied to the scrolls you carry. The keeper steps closer, her hood falling back, and you see her face fully, wrinkled, pale, her blind eye glowing faintly, like moonlight trapped in bone. The mirror shows what you owe, she says. Every word you carry, every name, every death. You think you're nothing, a shadow, but shadows have weight. She points to the tray, and the scrolls seem to glow, their seals pulsing red, like wounds that won't close. You want to deny it, to say you're just a eunuch, a tool, but the mirror's images burn in your mind. The boy you were, the boy who died, the blood on your reflection's robes. You think of the modern world, where you'd ignore a message, a post, a cry for help, because it's not your problem. But here, it's your hands holding the tray, your feet carrying the orders. The keeper's words echo, what do you owe? Do you owe the emperor your silence, your life? Do you owe the dead your ignorance? Or do you owe yourself the truth, even if it breaks you? The mirror hums now a low, bone-deep sound, and the serpents seem to move, their bronze bodies coiling tighter. You've heard of serpent mirrors, relics tied to ancient rites, said to bind the living to the dead, to trap those who look too long. The keeper watches, her blind eye unblinking, and you feel the choice like a blade at your throat. Set the tray down, look deeper into the mirror, and you might see the truth of the scrolls, names, fates, your own role in the palace's cruelty. Or walk away, deliver the scrolls, and let the mirror keep its secrets. Let the palace grind you down until you're nothing but dust. The keeper raises a hand, and the mirror's surface ripples again, showing a new image. A village burning, screams rising with the smoke, and a scroll, just like yours, lying open on a table. Your stomach twists, and you want to scream, to smash the mirror, to run. But the tray holds you, the palace holds you, and the keeper's voice is soft, almost tender. Choose, she says. Oh, the living, or oh, the dead. The mirror waits, the serpents hiss, and the chamber closes in, a tomb for your decision. The mirror serpents seem to coil tighter, their bronze scales glinting as the keeper's words hang in the air. Oh, the living, or oh, the dead. The chamber is a vice, its black and white tiles pressing up through your slippers, and the tray of scrolls burns in your hands, the wax seals pulsing like heartbeats. The village in the mirror flames, screams, a scroll like yours, fades, but its weight lingers, heavy as guilt. You want to look away, to run, but the keeper's blind eye holds you, glowing faintly, and the sweet rot scent chokes your throat. You're trapped, not just by the locked door, but by the choice she's laid bare. The mirror hums, low and hungry, and you feel the palace watching, its stones alive with judgment. You stagger back, the tray wobbling, and your heel catches on a tile. The keeper doesn't move, her ink-stained fingers still raised, but her lips curl into something that might be a smile or a grimace. Go, she says, her voice a dry whisper, like paper crumbling. The truth waits, but it doesn't forgive. You don't nod, don't speak, just turn and stumble toward the door, which is somehow open now, a sliver of torchlight spilling through. You push through, the tray clutched to your chest, and the chamber's hum fades, replaced by the corridor's familiar damp chill. The door slams behind you, and you're alone again, or as alone as you can be in a place that never sleeps. The corridor is narrower here, the walls rougher, as if the palace's polish has worn thin. The air smells of wet earth and charcoal, and the torches are sparse, their flames weak, casting long, trembling shadows. Your arms ache, the tray a relentless burden, but you keep moving, driven by the need to reach the Hall of Records, to be rid of the scrolls and the questions they carry. The mirror's images claw at your mind, the boy you were, the boy who died, the burning village. And you wonder if the keeper was right, if you owe something to the dead, to the living, to yourself. But owing means acting, and acting means risk, and you've been a shadow too long to know how to fight. A sound stops you, a low rhythmic creak, like a wheel turning. It's coming from ahead, where the corridor bends into darkness. You hesitate, your breath shallow, the scrolls rattling softly. The creak grows louder, joined by a faint scraping, like metal on stone. You should turn back, find another path, but the corridor behind you is a void, the torch is gone, as if the palace is herding you forward. You take a step, then another, the tray trembling, and round the bend. The corridor opens into a low-ceilinged chamber, lit by a single brazier that spits red light. In the center, a wooden cart stands, its wheels creaking as it sways, though no one touches it. The cart is piled with objects, scrolls, yes, but also stranger things. Broken jade tablets, bundles of dried herbs, a cracked bronze bell. It's a scavenger's hoard or a grave robber's, and the sight makes your stomach twist. You've heard of the carts that move through the palace at night, carrying the empire's secrets to be burned or buried. But this one feels wrong, like it's waiting for something or someone. The brazier's light flickers, and you see a figure crouched beside the cart, their back to you. They're small, wiry, dressed in patched robes that hang like shed skin. Their hands move quickly, sorting through the pile, and you catch a glint of metal, a ring, maybe, or a blade. You step closer, unable to stop yourself, and the floor creaks under your weight. The figure freezes, then turns, slow as a snake uncoiling. It's a man, his face sharp and weathered, like a cliff carved by wind. His eyes are deep-set, glinting like whetstones, and his mouth is a thin line, curled into a half-smile that doesn't reach his gaze. You don't know him, but you've heard whispers of someone like this. The collector, they call him, a eunuch who serves no master, only the palace's hidden needs. Some say he trades in secrets, others in curses. One swore he saw the collector burn a scroll and laugh as the smoke formed faces. You didn't believe it, but now, with his eyes on you, the air feels sharp, like it's cutting your skin. "What have you brought me?" he asks, his voice soft but heavy, like gravel shifting underfoot. He rises, dusting his hands, and you see the ring on his finger, a band of iron, set with a stone that looks like amber, but glows faintly, like a trapped flame. You clutch the tray tighter. The scroll's weight a shield and a chain. "Just delivering these," you say, your voice unsteady, "to the Hall of Records." The collector tilts his head, his smile widening, and steps closer, his robes dragging on the stone. "Records," he says, the word mockery. "You think that's where they're going? You think that's what they're for?" He gestures to the cart, and you see it clearly now. The scrolls are old, their edges frayed, but some are new, their seals unbroken, like yours. The herbs smell bitter, like grief, and the bronze bell has a crack that runs through its dragon carving, as if it screamed once and broke. The collector picks up a scroll, turning it in his hands, and the amber ring glows brighter, casting a sickly light. "Every scroll tells a story," he says. "A name, a place, a death. But stories don't end in the Hall of Records. They end here." He taps the cart, and the wheels creak, a sound that makes your teeth ache. You want to ask what he means, but your tongue is lead. The brazier spits, and the chamber feels smaller, the walls leaning in, the cart's shadow stretching like a hand. The collector steps closer, close enough that you smell him. Smoke and sour wine, a mix that turns your stomach. "Give me one," he says, nodding at your tray. "Just one. I'll tell you what it says." Your heart stops. It's a temptation, a trap, worse than the wanderer's coin or the keeper's mirror. If you hand over a scroll, you're betraying the emperor, the palace, everything you've sworn to serve. If you refuse, you're defying him, and the glow in his ring feels like a warning, like a fire waiting to burn. You think of the village in the mirror, the screams, the scroll on the table. You think of the boy who died, his face in the mirror, his eyes on you. What if the collector's right? What if these scrolls aren't for records, but for something darker? Executions, purges, villages turned to ash. You could know, right now, with one scroll. But knowing means carrying that weight, means choosing what to do with it. Tell someone, and you're a traitor, hunted until your blood stains the stone. Keep silent, and you're complicit, your hands stained anyway. The collector watches, his eyes glinting, and the cart creaks, like it's impatient. "There's a tale," he says, his voice dropping to a murmur, about a man who carried a scroll to his king, never reading it. The king burned a city, and the man lived, but his dreams were ash. He saw the faces of the dead every night, until he clawed out his own eyes. He leans closer, the amber ring pulsing. "Do you dream, little shadow? You want to scream that you don't, that you're empty, but you do dream of fields of laughter, of a knife that never stops cutting. You dream of the boy who screamed, of villages you've never seen. The collector's smile is a blade, and you feel it, sharp against your resolve. The bronze bell on the cart catches your eye, its dragon carving split by that jagged crack. You've heard of bells like this, used in rituals to call spirits or banish them. Their tolls said to carry the weight of the empire's sins. This one feels broken, angry, like it's waiting to ring again. The collector follows your gaze and laughs, a low, bitter sound. It knows, he says. It knows what you carry. He steps back, spreading his hands, the rings glow dimming. Give me a scroll or don't, but you'll carry it either way, here or in your dreams. You want to run to drop the tray and flee, but the chamber has no other doors, no windows, just the cart and the collector and the bell's silent scream. The moral choice burns. Hand over scroll, learn the truth, and risk everything. Your life, your loyalty, your fragile safety. Or walk away, deliver the tray, and let the palace's secrets fester. Let the dead haunt you in silence. You think of the modern world, where you'd swipe past a headline, ignore a plea, because it's not your fight. But here it's your hands, your tray, your dreams. The collector waits, the bell watches, and the cart creaks, a slow, relentless rhythm, counting down to your decision. The collector's amber ring dims, its glow fading like a dying ember, but his eyes still pin you, sharp as needles in the brazier's red light. The cart creaks, its wheels turning slightly, as if nudged by an unseen hand, and the cracked bronze bell glints, its dragon carving seeming to writhe. Your hands ache, the tray of scrolls a relentless weight, and the air tastes of smoke and sour wine, thick enough to choke. You want to hand over a scroll, to know its secrets, and be done with this gnawing doubt, but fear claws at you. Fear of the collector, of the palace, of the truth itself. His words echo, you'll carry it either way, here or in your dreams. The chamber feels like a tomb, the walls closing in, and you're not sure if you're choosing or just delaying the inevitable. You step back, the tray trembling, and shake your head. I can't, you say, your voice a brittle whisper, barely audible over the cart's creak. The collector's smile doesn't falter, but his eyes narrow, a flicker of something, disappointment, maybe, or amusement. He shrugs, turning back to the cart, his patched robes rustling like dry leaves. Then carry it, he says, tossing a scroll onto the pile. But don't complain when it breaks you. The brazier spits, and the chamber seems to exhale, the air loosening just enough for you to breathe. You turn, stumbling toward a narrow archway you hadn't noticed before, its edges rough, as if carved in haste. The collector doesn't follow, but you feel his gaze, heavy as the bell's silent scream, until you pass through the arch and into the corridor beyond. The passage is dim, the torches spaced far apart, their flames weak and sputtering, like they're drowning in the damp air. The walls are uneven, studded with moss that smells of decay and forgotten rains. Your slippers slap against a stone, each step a jolt through your aching arms, and the scrolls rattle, their wax seals catching the faint light like drops of blood. The palace feels different here, older, as if you've stumbled into its bones, where the lacquered halls and golden thrones are just a mask. You want to believe you're close to the Hall of Records, that you'll deliver the tray and be free, but the palace is a liar, and every turn leads you deeper into its heart. A faint hum rises, not the mirror's song or the pillar's pulse, but something softer, like a voice muffled by silk. It's coming from ahead, where the corridor widens into a low, vaulted chamber. The air grows warmer, heavy with the scent of wax and jasmine, and the hum becomes a chant, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. You slow, your heart pounding, and peer into the chamber. It's lit by dozens of candles, their flames steady despite the draft, casting a golden glow on walls painted with fading murals. Dragons, phoenixes, and figures in flowing robes, their faces worn to shadows. At the center, a low altar holds a single object, a silk banner, embroidered with a crimson crane, its wings spread as if caught mid-flight. You step inside, drawn by the chant, and the candles flicker, though the air is still. The banner's crane seems to shimmer, its threads catching the light in a way that makes it look alive, ready to soar. You've heard of crane banners, sacred relics used in rituals to honor the heavens or guide the dead. This one feels heavy, though, like it's carrying more than prayers, grief, maybe, or a curse. The chant grows louder, and you see her, a woman kneeling before the altar, her back to you, her hair unbound, spilling like ink over her white robes. She's swaying slightly, her hands raised, and the chant pours from her, a stream of words you don't understand but feel in your bones, like a lullaby from a world you've forgotten. She doesn't turn, but you know she's aware of you. The air shifts, charged, like the moment before storm. You've heard whispers of someone like this. The mourner, they call her, a figure who appears when the palace grieves, though no one knows what or who she mourns. Some say she's a priestess, others a spirit bound to the empire's sins. One eunuch swore he saw her weep blood, but you dismissed it as a story. Now, with her chant wrapping around you, pulling you closer, you're not so sure. The tray feels heavier, the scroll's a burning weight, and you want to set it down, to kneel beside her and let the chant wash away your fear. But something in her stillness warns you to stay back. The mourner lowers her hands, and the chant stops, leaving a silence that presses against your ears. She turns, slow as moonlight, and you stifle a gasp. Her face is young, almost childlike, but her eyes are ancient, red-rimmed, as if she's cried for centuries. Her lips are pale, and when she speaks, her voice is soft, like wind through reeds. "You carry too much," she says, her gaze flicking to the tray. "Why do you hold it so tightly?" You open your mouth to explain duty, order, survival, but the words dissolve, useless in the face of her eyes. She rises, her robes whispering, and steps closer, close enough that you smell her. Jasmine, yes, but also something sharp, like salt or tears. She gestures to the banner, and the crane seems to pulse, its crimson wings brighter, almost bleeding. "Do you know what this is?" she asks, and you shake your head, your throat tight. "A promise," she says. "A vow to the heavens, to carry the pain of those who fall." But vows break, and pain remains. Her eyes meet yours, and you feel exposed, like she sees every scar, every choice, every night you've lain awake, haunted by screams you didn't cause, but didn't stop. "You carry pain too," she says. "Will you keep it or give it back?" The question hits like a stone, and you stagger, the tray wobbling. Give it back? To who? The emperor who owns you? The dead who can't hear you? Or the living who might die for your words? You think of the scrolls, their seals hiding names, fates, villages like the one in the mirror. You think of the modern world, where you'd bury pain in distractions, scrolls of a different kind, endless and numbing. But here, there's no escape, just the tray, the mourner, and the crane banner, its wings a silent demand. The candles burn brighter, and the chamber feels alive, the murals, faded figures watching, waiting for your answer. The mourner steps closer, her eyes searching yours. "There's a story," she says, her voice barely a whisper, "about a man who carried a burden for his king, never questioning. When he died, the heavens asked him why he never spoke. He said it wasn't his place. They wept, because his silence burned 1,000 homes." She points to the tray, and the scrolls seem to hum, their wax seals glowing faintly, like embers. "Your burden speaks," she says. "Will you listen?" You want to scream that you can't, that listening means treason, means death, but her eyes hold you, and the crane banner seems to stir, its wings trembling. You've heard of cranes as symbols of loyalty, of sacrifice, but this one feels like a judge, weighing your soul against the pain you carry. The mourner's question burns. Keep the pain or give it back? Keep it, and you're safe, a shadow slipping through the palace, carrying orders you don't read, lives you don't know. Give it back, and you're stepping into the light, naming the names, shouting the truths. And the palace doesn't forgive those who speak. You think of the boy who screamed, his face in the mirror, his pain now yours. Do you carry it forever, or risk everything to set it free? The mourner kneels again, her hands resting on the altar, and the chant resonates softer now, a thread of sound that pulls at your heart. The crane banner glows, its crimson wings almost alive, and you feel the choice like a blade at your throat. Set the tray down, open a scroll, and give the pain back. Name the names, defy the palace, and face the consequences. Or walk away, deliver the scrolls, and let the pain fester. Let the crane's vow break in silence. The candles flicker, the murals watch, and the mourner's chant weaves through the air, a lullaby for the damned, urging you to decide. The mourner's chant fades, its last notes dissolving into the candlelit air, and the crimson crane on the banner seems to still, its wings frozen in mid-flight. Your hands tremble, the tray of scrolls a burning weight, and the chamber's warmth feels suffocating, the jasmine scent cloying, like a memory you can't shake. Her words, will you keep it or give it back, coil around your heart, tightening with each breath. You want to answer, to beg her to take the tray, the pain, the guilt, but her red-rimmed eyes hold you silent, and the palace hums beneath your feet, a living thing that knows your fear. You step back, the tiles cold through your slippers, and turn toward the chamber's exit, a narrow archway draped in shadow. The mourner doesn't follow, but her chant resonates, soft and relentless, chasing you into the corridor beyond. The passage is tight, its walls slick with moisture that smells of earth and rust, as if the palace is bleeding. The torches are few, their flames casting jagged shadows that twist into hands, reaching for the tray you clutch like a lifeline. Your arms scream, the scrolls wait a punishment, and their wax seals glint, red as fresh wounds in the dim light. You move faster, driven by the need to reach the Hall of Records, to be rid of this burden and the questions it carries, questions of pain, of truth, of what you owe. But the corridor seems to stretch, each turn leading to another, and the air grows heavier, thick with the scent of oil and something sharper, like burnt hair. A low clanging stops you, a metallic ring that echoes from ahead, like a gong struck out of rhythm. It's not the bronze bell scream or the mirror's hum, but something raw, urgent, like a warning carved in sound. You hesitate, your breath shallow, the scrolls rattling softly. The clanging comes again, closer now, joined by a faint hiss, like steam escaping a kettle. You should turn back, find another path, but the corridor behind you is dark, the torches snuffed out, as if the palace is funneling you toward the sound. You take a step, then another, the tray trembling, and the passage opens into a wide, low chamber, its air hot and heavy, like a blacksmith's forge. The chamber is dominated by a massive bronze cauldron, its surface etched with swirling clouds and snarling beasts, perched on a stone platform. Steam rises from its mouth, curling like spirits in the flickering light of oil lamps hung from a ceiling. The clanging comes from within, a steady, deliberate beat, as if something or someone is striking the cauldron's inner walls. The air smells of molten metal and charred wood, and the heat presses against your skin, drawing sweat that stings your eyes. You've heard of cauldrons like this, vessels for rituals to appease the heavens or curse the earth, their bronze said to hold the empire's fate. This one feels angry, its etched beasts glaring, their eyes seeming to follow you as you edge closer. A figure moves in the steam, tall and broad, their silhouette blurred by the heat. They're striking the cauldron with a long iron rod, each blow sending a clang through the chamber, a sound that vibrates in your chest. You freeze, the tray wobbling, and the figure pauses, turning toward you. It's a man, his face weathered and scarred, his eyes like burning coals under heavy brows. His robes are rough, stained with soot, and his hands are wrapped in blackened cloth, as if the rod's heat has seared them raw. You don't know him, but you've heard whispers of someone like this. The forger, they call him, a eunuch who tends the palace's sacred fires, forging relics or weapons or something darker. Some say he speaks to spirits, others that he binds them. One swore he saw the forger melt a traitor's name into bronze, trapping their soul. You didn't believe it, but now, with his eyes on you, the air feels like it's burning. "Why are you here?" he asks, his voice a low growl, like coals shifting in a fire. He rests the rod against the cauldron, and the clanging stops, leaving a silence that feels heavier than the sound. You lift the tray slightly, your arms trembling, and stammer, delivering scrolls. To the Hall of Records. The forger's eyes narrow, and he steps closer, his boots leaving ashy prints on the stone. "Records," he says, the word a sneer. "You think that's what those are? You think they're meant to be kept?" He gestures to the cauldron, and the steam parts, revealing a glow within, like molten bronze waiting to be shaped. You want to argue, to say you're just a messenger, but his gaze cuts through you, and the cauldron's heat makes your head swim. The tray feels heavier, the scroll's seals pulsing, as if they know what he's implying. "They're orders," you say, your voice barely audible. "From the Emperor." The forger laughs, a harsh, barking sound that echoes off the walls. "Orders," he says, stepping closer, close enough that you smell him, charcoal and sweat, a furnace in human form. Orders to kill, to burn, to break. And you carry them, blind as a worm in the dirt. He points to the cauldron, and you see it clearly now. The etched beasts, dragons, tigers, serpents, seem to move, their bronze bodies rippling in the heat. "This is where your orders end," he says. "Melted, reshaped, forgotten. Give me one and I'll show you." Your heart lurches. Hand over scroll, and it's treason, a betrayal of the emperor, the palace, everything you've been carved to serve. Refuse, and you're defying him. And the cauldron's glow feels like a threat, like it could swallow you whole. You think of the screams you've heard, the villages you've imagined, the pain you've carried without naming. What if he's right? What if these scrolls are meant to be destroyed, their truths erased in fire? The forger picks up the rod again, and the cauldron clangs, a single, bone-deep note. "There's a story," he says, his voice softer now, like a blade being sharpened. "A man carried a king's decree to a village, never reading it. The village burned, and he lived, but the fire followed him, burning his dreams, his heart, his name. He begged the gods to take it back, but gods don't listen to cowards." He leans closer, the rod still in his hand, its tip glowing faintly, like it's kissed the cauldron's heart. "What's your name, little worm? Or did they take that, too?" The question stings, sharper than the knife that made you. You don't answer, can't answer, because your name is a ghost, a whisper you buried long ago. The cauldron's beasts watch, their eyes glinting, and you feel the moral choice like a noose. Give him a scroll, let it burn, and you're erasing a truth, maybe a death, maybe a village, maybe a piece of the empire soul. Keep it, deliver it, and you're feeding a machine, letting the palace grind on, crushing lives under its weight. You think of the modern world, where you delete an email, ignore a warning, because it's easier to stay blind. But here, the cauldron's heat is real. The forger's eyes are real. And the scrolls are real. They're weight a chain you can't escape. The cauldron itself is the symbol. You realize, a vessel of creation and destruction. Its bronze holding the empire's will. Its fire consuming what doesn't serve. You've heard of such cauldrons, used in rites to forge alliances or break curses. They're metal set to carry the emperor's mandate from the heavens. This one feels like a judge. Its beast demanding your choice. Burn the scroll or carry it. The forger strikes the cauldron again, and the clang is louder, a sound that shakes your bones, like the palace itself is speaking. Choose, he says, his voice a growl. Feed the fire or feed the machine. You want to run, to drop the tray and flee, but the chamber has no other exits, just the cauldron, the forger, and the relentless heat. The scrolls hum, their seals glowing, and you feel the lives within them. Names, places, fates you've never seen, but know are real. Hand one over, and you're complicit in its erasure, a traitor to the truth. Keep it, and you're complicit in its execution, a traitor to the living. The forger waits, the cauldron glows, and the beasts on its surface seem to roar, their bronze voices silent but deafening, urging you to decide. The forger's words, feed the fire or feed the machine, burn in your ears, sharper than the cauldron's heat, as the chamber's bronze beasts glare, their etched eyes glinting in the steam. Your arms tremble, the tray of scrolls a crushing weight, and the air tastes of ash and molten metal, clogging your throat. The cauldron's glow pulses a heartbeat of fire, and you want a hand over scroll, to let it burn and be free of its secrets. But fear roots you. Fear of the forger's scarred hands, of the palace's wrath, of the lives tied to the wax seals. You shake your head, a small, desperate jerk, and stumble back, the tray wobbling. I can't, you whisper, the words barely escaping your lips. The forger's coal black eyes narrow, but he doesn't move, just leans on his iron rod, its glowing tip hissing against a stone. Then run, he says, his voice a low growl, like embers settling. But the machine doesn't forget. The cauldron clangs a single bone-shaking note, and the steam thickens, swallowing his silhouette. You turn, nearly dropping the tray, and lurch toward a shadowed archway, its edges jagged, as if clawed from the wall. The chamber's heat chases you, a hot breath on your neck, but you don't look back, not at the forger, not at the cauldron, not at the beasts that seem to roar in silence. The archway swallows you, and the corridor beyond is cold, a slap of damp air that smells of mildew and forgotten winters. The passage is narrow, its walls rough with unpolished stone, and the torches are sparse, their flames flickering like dying stars. Your slippers scrape the floor, each step a jolt through your aching arms, and the scrolls rattle, their red seals catching the light like accusing eyes. The palace feels alive here, its pulse thrumming beneath your feet, and you wonder if you're closer to the hall of records or deeper in the maze, lost in the empire's veins. The forger's question gnaws at you, feed the fire or feed the machine, and you think of the lives you've carried, the screams you've heard, the truths you've buried. You want to believe delivery will end this, but the palace is a liar, and every choice feels like a trap. A faint rustle breaks the silence, like silk dragged over stone, coming from ahead where the corridor curves into darkness. You slow, your heart pounding, the tray trembling in your grip. The rustle grows louder, joined by a soft, rhythmic tapping, like rain on a roof. But there's no rain, only the palace's endless stone. You should turn back, find another path. But the corridor behind you is a void, the torch is gone, as if the palace is herding you forward. You take a step, then another, and the passage opens into a small, circular chamber, its walls draped in tattered silk banners, their faded colors bleeding into the shadows. The air is heavy with the scent of incense and something sour, like old milk, and the tapping fills the space, steady, deliberate. At the chamber's center stands a low table, cluttered with inkpots, brushes, and stacks of bamboo slips, their surfaces scratched with half-finished characters. A single lantern hangs above, its light dim, casting a sickly glow on a figure hunched over the table, their hands moving in a blur, tapping a brush against an inkstone. It's a woman, her hair gray and tangled, her robes thin and patched, clinging to her like a second skin. Her fingers are stained black, and her nails are long, curling like claws. You don't know her, but you've heard whispers of someone like this. The scribe, they call her, a eunuch who writes the palace's hidden histories, truths no one reads. Some say she's mad, others that she's cursed, bound to record the empire's sins until they break her. One swore he saw her write a name that burned the slip to ash. You didn't believe it, but now, with her tapping filling the chamber, the air feels wrong, like it's holding its breath. She doesn't look up, but her brush pauses, the tapping stopping abruptly. "You're late," she says, her voice thin and sharp, like a blade slicing silk. You clutch the tray tighter. The scrolls weight a shield, and stammer, "I'm delivering these." To the Hall of Records. The scribe laughs, a dry, brittle sound that makes your skin crawl. "Records," she says, finally looking at you. Her eyes are sunken, one clouded white, the other glinting like polished obsidian. And her face is a map of wrinkles, each line a story you don't want to know. You think those are for keeping? You think they're meant to be read? She rises, her robes rustling, and steps closer, her ink-stained fingers twitching. The lantern sways, and the banners on the walls seem to stir, their faded dragons and phoenixes watching you with empty eyes. "Give me one," she says, pointing to the tray. "I'll write its truth." Your heart lurches, a frantic beat against your ribs. Hand over scroll, and you're betraying your vows, inviting the palace's wrath. Refuse, and you're defying her, and the glint in her obsidian eye feels like a blade at your throat. You think of the cauldron's fire, the crane's vow, the mirror's visions, each a demand to choose, each a weight you can't carry. What if she's right? What if these scrolls aren't for records, but for something darker, truths meant to be hidden, not shared? The scribe steps closer, close enough that you smell her. Ink and decay, a mix that turns your stomach. "There's a story," she says, her voice dropping to a whisper, about a man who carried a king's words, never questioning. When he died, the words rose from his grave, naming every life he'd doomed. He screamed, but no one listened, because he'd never spoken. She points to the table, where a bamboo slip lies, its surface scorched, as if the characters burned themselves into being. "Your words scream too," she says. "Will you let them?" The moral choice cuts deep. Give her a scroll, let her write its truth, and risk everything. Your life, your duty, the fragile safety of silence. Or keep it, deliver the tray, and let the truths fester. Let the palace's machine grind on, crushing lives under its weight. You think of the modern world, where you'd ignore a message, a post, a plea, because it's not your fight. But here, it's your hands, your tray, your silence. The scribe's obsidian eye glints, and the banners seem to whisper, their faded threads stirring in a breeze you can't feel. The table holds your gaze, and you notice a small object among the inkpots, a lacquered box, no larger than your hand, carved with a single character, memory. You've heard of such boxes, used in rituals to seal away secrets, their contents said to bind the living to the empire's will or curse them to wander. This one feels alive, its surface shimmering faintly, like it's breathing. The scribe follows your gaze and smiles, a thin, knowing curve. It remembers, she says, every name, every sin, every silence. Give me a scroll, and I'll add to it or take from it. Her words are a trap, a promise, a threat, and the box seems to pulse, its character glowing, urging you to choose. You want to run, to drop the tray and flee, but the chamber has no other exits, just the table, the scribe, and the relentless tapping that resumes, her brush striking the inkstone like a heartbeat. The scrolls hum, their seals glowing, and you feel the lives within them. Names, places, fates you've carried without knowing. Hand one over, and you're naming the truth, risking the palace's blades, the emperor's wrath. Keep it, and you're burying the truth, letting the machine feed on silence, on screams you'll hear in your dreams. The scribe waits, the box watches, and the banners whisper, their faded dragons curling tighter, demanding your decision. The scribe's obsidian eye glints, her ink-stained fingers hovering over the lacquered box, its carved character, memory, pulsing faintly in the lantern's dim glow. The chamber's tattered banners stir, their faded dragons whispering, and the air tastes of ink and decay, a bitter weight on your tongue. Your arms burn, the tray of scrolls a relentless burden, their wax seals glowing like embers, urging you to choose. Hand over a scroll, let the scribe write its truth or carry it to the hall of records, feeding the palace's silent machine. Her words, your words scream, too, claw at you, and you want to give in to know the names, the fates, but fear chokes you. Fear of her, of the box, of the truths you might not survive. You shake your head, a small, trembling motion, and step back, the tray wobbling. I have to go, you whisper, the words frail against the tapping of her brush. The scribe's smile fades, her clouded eye unblinking, and she lowers her hand, the box's glow dimming. Go then, she says, her voice a dry hiss, like wind over ash. But memory doesn't sleep. The banners rustle, and the chamber seems to exhale, the air loosening just enough for you to move. You turn, stumbling toward a narrow passage you hadn't seen, its edges rough, as if carved by desperate hands. The scribe's tapping resumes, a steady heartbeat that chases you, and you feel the box's gaze, heavy as the scrolls, until the passage swallows you, its damp chill a shock after the chamber's stifling air. The corridor is tight, its walls slick with moss that smells of rot and forgotten rivers. The torches are few, their flames weak, casting shadows that twist into faces, screaming, pleading, or maybe just your guilt taking shape. Your slippers slide on the stone, each step a jolt through your aching arms, and the scrolls rattle, their seals catching the faint light like drops of blood. The palace feels older here, its bones exposed, and you wonder if you're nearing the hall of records or sinking deeper into the maze, trapped in the empire's veins. The scribe's warning lingers, memory doesn't sleep, and you think of the lives you've carried, the screams you've heard, the truths you refuse to name. Delivery feels like salvation, but the palace is a liar, and every step feels like a betrayal. A soft hum breaks the silence, not the cauldron's clang or the banner's chant, but something delicate, like a flute played far away. It's coming from ahead, where the corridor widens into a high, arched chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. The air grows lighter, tinged with the scent of lotus and something sharp, like crushed herbs. The hum becomes a melody, mournful yet precise, weaving through the chamber like a thread. You slow, your heart pounding, and peer inside. The chamber is vast, its walls lined with shelves of bamboo slips, their surfaces gleaming in the soft glow of paper lanterns hung from iron chains. At the center, A low platform holds a single object, a jade flute, its surface carved with swirling vines, resting on a silk cushion. You step inside, drawn by the melody, and the lanterns sway, their light flickering across the shelves. The flute's vines seem to pulse, their jade curves alive, as if the music flows from them, though no one plays. You've heard of such flutes, sacred instruments used in rituals to summon ancestors or appease restless spirits. Their notes said to carry the empire's grief. This one feels heavy, its melody a lament that tugs at your chest, like a memory you didn't know you had. The scrolls tremble in your hands, and you want to set them down, to let the music wash away your fear. But the chamber feels watchful, its shadows too deep, too still. Footsteps echo, light and deliberate, from the far side of the chamber, where the shelves disappear into darkness. A figure emerges, slender and graceful, their robes a pale green, shimmering like new leaves. It's a man, his face smooth and ageless, his eyes bright like polished amber, but shadowed, as if they've seen too much. His hair is bound with a simple cord, and he holds a small fan, its ribs carved with the same vines as the flute. You don't know him, but you've heard whispers of someone like this. The listener, they call him, a eunuch who hears the palace's secrets, its sorrows, its sins. Some say he speaks to the dead, others that he weaves their voices into music. One swore he saw the listener play a note that made a noble weep blood. You didn't believe it, but now, with his eyes on you, the melody feels like a blade, cutting through your defenses. You're lost, he says, his voice soft, like the flute's hum, but sharp, like a note played wrong. He steps closer, the fan moving gently, stirring the lotus-scented air. You clutch the tray, the scrolls wait a shield and stammer, I'm delivering these to the Hall of Records. The listener tilts his head, his amber eyes glinting, and the fan pauses, its vines catching the light. Records, he says, the word a sigh. You think that's where they belong? You think they're meant to be silent? He gestures to the flute, and the melody shifts, sharper now, like a cry held back. You want to argue, to say you're just a messenger, but his gaze pins you, and the flute's music makes your head swim. The tray feels heavier, the scroll's seals pulsing, as if they know what he's asking. They're orders, you say, your voice trembling. From the emperor. The listener smiles, a sad, knowing curve, and steps closer, close enough that you smell him. Lotus and herbs, a mix that soothes and stings. Orders, he says, his fan resuming its gentle wave. Orders to silence, to erase, to bury. And you carry them, deaf to their song. He points to the flute, and you see it clearly now. The jade vines seem to move, curling tighter, their green depths glowing faintly, like they're breathing. This hears them, he says. Every name, every pain, every life you carry. Give me one, and I'll play its truth. Your heart stops, a frantic beat trapped in your chest. Hand over scroll, and it's treason, a betrayal of the emperor, the palace, everything you've been carved to serve. Refuse, and you're defying him, and the flute's melody feels like a warning, like it could unravel you with a single note. You think of the screams you've heard, the villages you've imagined, the pain you've carried without naming. What if he's right? What if these scrolls sing, their truths waiting to be heard? The listener steps closer, his fan brushing the air, and the melody grows louder, a wail that twists in your gut. There's a story, he says, his voice barely audible over the flute's hum, about a man who carried a king's words, never listening. When he died, the word sang, naming every soul he doomed. He covered his ears, but the song followed, until his heart broke. He points to the tray, and the scrolls seem to hum, their seals glowing brighter, like stars about to burn out. Your words sing too, he says. Will you hear them? The moral choice cuts deep. Give him a scroll, let him play its truth, and risk everything. Your life, your duty, the fragile safety of silence. Or keep it, deliver the tray, and let the truths fade. Let the palace's machine grind on, silencing lives under its weight. You think of the modern world, where you'd mute a video, ignore a cry, because it's easier to stay deaf. But here, it's your hands, your tray, your silence. The listener's amber eyes glint, and the flute's vines seem to stir, their melody a demand, a plea, a judgment. The jade flute is the symbol, you realize, a vessel of sound and silence, its notes carrying the empire's grief, its vines binding the living to the dead. You've heard of such flutes, used in rites to honor ancestors or banish ghosts. Their music said to bridge worlds. This one feels like a judge, its melody weighing your soul against the truths you carry. The listener lowers his fan, his eyes searching yours, and the music shifts, softer now, almost tender, but no less urgent. Choose, he says, his voice a whisper. Hear the song or bury it. You want to run, to drop the tray and flee, but the chamber has no other exits, just the shelves, the listener, and the relentless melody. The scrolls hum, their seals glowing, and you feel the lives within them. Names, places, fates you've carried without hearing. Hand won over, and you're naming the truth, risking the palace's wrath, the emperor's blades. Keep it, and you're silencing the truth, letting the machine feed on deafness, on screams you'll hear in your dreams. The listener waits, the flute sings, and the lanterns sway, their light a fragile thread, urging you to decide. The listener's jade flute hums, its melody a sharp wail that cuts through the lotus-scented air, and the vines carved into its surface seem to writhe, urging you to choose. Hand over scroll, let its truth sing, or carry it to the hall of records, silencing the lives within. Your arms burn, the tray of scrolls a crushing weight, their wax seals pulsing like dying stars, and the chamber's paper lanterns sway, their light flickering across shelves of bamboo slips that seem to whisper your guilt. The listener's amber eyes hold you, his fan stilled, and his words, hear the song or bury it, echo in your chest, a demand you can't escape. You want to give in, to let the flute name the truths you've carried, but fear chokes you, fear of the palace, of the emperor, of a truth that might shatter you. You shake your head, a trembling jerk, and step back, the tray wobbling. I can't, you whisper, your voice lost in the flute's lament. The listener's smile fades, his eyes darkening, and he lowers the fan, the flute's melody softening to a sigh. Then bury it, he says, his voice a whisper, like leaves falling in a dead forest. But the song will find you. The lanterns dim, and the chamber seems to contract, the shelves leaning in, the bamboo slips rustling like voices you've ignored. You turn, stumbling toward a shadowed archway, its edges worn smooth, as if countless others have fled through it. The flute's hum chases you, a thread of sound that clings to your skin, and you feel the listener's gaze, heavy as the scrolls, until the passage swallows you, its cold air a blade against your sweat-soaked robes. The corridor is vast, its walls soaring into darkness, carved with faded reliefs of emperors and gods, their eyes chipped and blind. The torches are gone, replaced by a faint, sickly glow that seeps from a stone, smelling of sulfur and despair. Your slippers echo, each step a hammer against your aching arms, and the scrolls rattle, their seals glowing brighter, like wounds that won't close. The palace feels like a beast here, its breath hot and heavy, and you know you're close to the hall of records, the end of your task, but the air hums with something else, a presence older than the empire, watching you stumble through its veins. You've carried these scrolls through fire, through mirrors, through songs, and each time, you've chosen silence, chosen survival. But survival feels like a lie now, a chain you've forged with every step. A low rumble stops you, a vibration that shakes the floor like the earth itself is stirring. It's coming from ahead, where the corridor ends in a massive stone door, its surface etched with a single coiling tortoise, its shell a maze of interlocking spirals. The rumble grows, joined by a faint, rhythmic pulse, like a drum beaten underwater. You've heard of the tortoise as a symbol of eternity, of burdens carried through time, its shell said to hold the empire's secrets, its steps slow but unstoppable. This one feels alive, its carved eyes glinting in the sulphurous glow. And you know this door leads to the Hall of Records, to the end of your journey, or the beginning of something worse. You shift the tray, your muscles screaming, and push against the door. It groans, releasing a gust of air that smells of dust and iron, like a tomb unsealed. Beyond is a cavernous chamber, its ceiling a dome of cracked stone, lit by a single massive brazier at the center, its flames blue and cold, casting shadows that twist into claws. The walls are lined with shelves, endless rows of scrolls and tablets, their surfaces gleaming like bones. At the chamber's heart, near the brazier, stands a figure tall and gaunt, their robes black as night, embroidered with silver tortoises that shimmer in the firelight. Their face is hidden by a veil, but their hands are bare, pale, and long-fingered, clutching a staff topped with a jade tortoise, its eyes red as blood. You step inside, and the door slams shut, the rumble fading to a silence that presses against your ears. The figure doesn't move, but you feel their gaze, sharp and unyielding, like the tortoise's carved eyes. You've heard whispers of someone like this, the archivist, they call them, a eunuch who guards the Hall of Records, keeper of the empire's truths and lies. Some say they're immortal, others that they're a shadow of the first emperor, bound to the palace forever. One swore he saw the archivist burn a scroll and smile as the ashes formed words. You didn't believe it, but now, with their veiled presence filling the chamber, the air feels like it's drowning you. You've come, they say, their voice a low hum, like stone grinding against stone, genderless, ageless. They step closer, the staff tapping the floor, each strike a pulse that shakes your bones. You clutch the tray, the scrolls weight a chain, and stammer, I'm delivering these. For the records. The archivist tilts their head, the veil shifting, and you catch a glimpse of their eyes, gray, endless, like a storm that never breaks. Records. They say, the word mockery. You think that's what you carry? You think that's what this place is for? They gesture to the shelves, and the scrolls seem to stir, their edges whispering, like voices trapped in paper. You want to argue, to say you're just a messenger, but their gaze cuts through you, and the brazier's blue flames make your head swim. The tray feels heavier, the scroll's seals pulsing, as if they know what's coming. They're orders, you say, your voice a trembling thread. From the emperor. The archivist laughs, a sound like gravel falling into a void, and steps closer, close enough that you smell them. Dust and cold iron. A grave's embrace. Orders, they say, their staff tapping louder, the jade tortoise glowing. Orders to bind, to break, to bury. And you've carried them, blind, deaf, silent, through the palace's heart. They point to the brazier, and you see it clearly now. The blue flames dance, forming shapes, faces, villages, screams, that flicker and vanish. This is where your orders rest, they say. Not in records, but in fire. Give me the tray, and I'll burn them all. Your heart stops, a frantic beat trapped in your chest. hand over the tray, and it's the end, treason, betrayal, the erasure of every truth you've carried. Refuse, and you're delivering the scrolls, feeding the palace's machine, letting it grind lives into dust. You think of the screams, the villages, the faces you've seen, the truths you've buried. What if they're right? What if these scrolls are meant to burn, their secrets too heavy for the world? The archivist steps closer, their veil brushing the air, and the brazier's flames flare, their heat cold, like a winter's blade. There's a story, they say, their voice a whisper now, about a man who carried a king's will, never questioning. When he died, the will rose from his ashes, naming every soul he doomed. He begged for silence, but the fire spoke, and he burned forever. They point to the tray, and the scrolls hum, their seals blazing, like suns about to collapse. Your will speaks, they say. Will you let it burn, or carry it to the end? You understand now, with a clarity that cuts deeper than the knife that made you. Surviving here is impossible. The palace is a machine that chews up shadows like you, demanding silence, obedience, blindness, until there's nothing left. Every choice, every refusal to act, every scroll you've carried, has been a surrender, a step toward erasure. Hand over the tray, and you're defying the emperor inviting death, but freeing the truths within, letting them burn bright before they're lost. Keep it, and you're delivering the empire's will, condemning lives, villages, futures, and yourself, a shadow crushed under the machine's weight. You think of the modern world, where you'd scroll past suffering, mute the cries, because it's easier. But here it's your hands, your tray, your soul. The tortoise on the archivist's staff is the symbol, you realize, a guardian of eternity. Its shell a maze of secrets, carrying the empire's burdens through time. You've heard of such tortoises, their images etched in tombs, their steps said to hold the heavens' mandate. This one feels like a judge, its red eyes weighing your life against the truths you've carried. The archivist raises their staff, and the brazier roars, its blue flames reaching for the tray. Choose, they say, their voice a thunderclap. Burn the truth or bury it. You stagger, the tray wobbling, and the scrolls their seals blinding, each one a life, a scream, a village you've never seen, but know is real. You see it now. Survival is a lie, a cage you've built with every silence. You set the tray down, your hands shaking, and step toward the brazier. The scrolls hum a song you finally hear. You lift one, its seal breaking under your fingers, and the name within burns your eyes, a village, a family, a death ordered by the emperor's hand. You toss it into the flames, and the fire roars, blue turning white, the name rising in smoke, free at last. The archivist watches, their veil still, and you know there's no going back. The palace will find you, punish you, erase you. But for this moment, you've chosen the truth, and it's enough. The brazier's flames die, and the chamber darkens, the tortoise's eyes fading. You've understood why surviving here is impossible. The palace demands your soul, and silence is its price. You turn to the archivist, but they're gone, the staff lying on the stone, its jade tortoise cracked. The scrolls are ash, and you're alone, but the weight is gone, replaced by a cold, clear certainty. You've burned the truth, and it will burn you. But you're free, if only for a moment. Sleep well tonight, my friend, if you can. If you hear a drum in the dark, it's just the palace, counting the shadows it's yet to claim.